Welcome back, BBC crew. This is Trailside Stu here with another tutorial video on our Axial Wraith here. We're going to be going ahead and putting in the front and rear diff gears in this. I do appreciate those of you who watched and sat through the last one. This is my only second tutorial video, so let's go ahead and dig right in real quick. I'm going to stick the Wraith out to the side for right now and go over our parts that we're going to be using today. So we're going to be going ahead and putting the AX30395 differential gears in the Axial Wraith. Now the good thing here is that the diff gears for the SCX10 and the Wraith themselves are identical. You don't need to worry about changing between the Wraith or the SCX10. The good thing here is they're both the same. Now you can overdrive or underdrive depending on your application. We're just going to go ahead and replace with the stock one. So we've got both the same part number there. All right, let's go ahead and pull these out. Get this all set up and ready to go. One thing to remember in your supplies that you before you starting this is to be able to have your marine grease near you. Marine grease is a very great way to keep everything moving properly, keep the bearings sealed, and always it's a good thing to do to pack your axles themselves. So, all right, I got my parts off over the side here. Let's go ahead and bring the Wraith up here. Go ahead and start tearing her down. We got to take all the wheels off. With this, we're going to have to take basically everything as far as the four-link suspension mounts and the rear and the drive shaft off, including the wheels and tires, because we got to break down the whole axle here right there. And then in the front, basically we're going to have to do the same thing here, remove the steering arms and linkage on there, and do all that just to be able to get into the differentials in here. So let's go ahead and tear down the rear first. One thing to notice here, Darren's already got the wide Traxxas hex nuts on here. Very good thing to have if you want the extra width. It does help here and there, all depending on your crawling itself. So let's go ahead and pop these off. We're going to have them off to get the axles out. It's not working. Flathead. There we go. Alright, go ahead and tear down this back end. Now with the Wraith, the way the suspension is set up on here, you have to take the lower link and then another nut that holds the shock itself. Interesting. I've done SCX10 axles before. This is the first Wraith axle I've worked on. And from the looks of everything, cool. I don't actually have to take the whole housing itself apart, so from these pieces, it looks like I can just get in here and take the diff right out of the back, which is really nice. Didn't need to take that upper chassis plate piece off, so. With strip screws, sometimes you just need to have a very nice, a new tipped driver nearby. We're going to attempt to see if I've got one that's going to work well for this, or if we have to notch it. I hope we don't have to notch them. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to notch these screws slightly so that I can get a flathead in there. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and we'll come back to it. Alright everybody, so I went ahead and notched them, and I'm able to get them out now. Okay, diff cover off. All right. The cool thing on these Wraiths is that they've got an actual differential you can put in here. It's very interesting to actually see them like that. I'm going to be showing you guys how to basically step-by-step do the rear. The front's going to be almost identical, so I'm going to go ahead and do that one off camera, and then we're going to come back to the inside of it. If there's something different other than that, they're most likely going to be about the same. So and diff just pulls right out once I get the axle out of it. If you notice, this side of the bearing actually has some rustiness or whatnot to it. We're going to go ahead while we've got this out, since this was a previous person's vehicle, we got it used. I'm going to go ahead and pack a little bit of marine grease inside the tubes here. Benefit to that is it'll keep both the outside and the inner side bearings from getting rusted up and messed up from the actual water and different elements you go to. So on the pinion gear here, we just slide that one right out, and boom, falls right out. So I'm going to go ahead and put the new one in here. Now the other one, they look different. They're actually identical. It's just an old version versus a new version. So we're going to go ahead and take this apart and clean this up real quick, just a little bit. Now, if you notice on our new one here, like I said, they are the same. Notice the shoulder in the back. This one here is just a pin style, and there's an E-clip on the end of it. Now, Axial went ahead and made a new style, updated version that's more of a helical cut. If you can notice the gears right here. Let's see if I can get you in the camera. There we go. They're a little bit on the rounded side. They're at an angle, and that's called helical cut. Whereas if you look at the stock gears, it's more straight, and it's actually considered a straight cut. But they've made the gear all the way into the shaft itself, whereas this one's separate. This is a much stronger design, so that's a good thing. Okay, and we're just going to slide that right back in. As easy as can be. Alright. Clean this up just a little bit more. Like I said, well, with the other small screws, just want to be careful with these not to strip them out. Make sure I get the right driver here. Want to be careful not to sling grease on yourself or whatnot. This is a little bit snug. Go ahead and we're going to pull this bearing off. Come here. Boom. There we go. And from the looks of it, we're not all the way out. Okay. This little start thing you guys see in here, I'll pull it out for you. Apparently this is not wanting to come out. It's not supposed to be sitting in the direction it is, so. I'm going to try and do another method here, folks. I'm going to do this off camera. I'll be back in a moment. Okay, folks, so I've come to find out the problem, what was going on with why it was stuck in there so bad. The lock itself has two little side tabs that are supposed to sit on the side of it. These little pieces right here. They had been broken off. I don't know if you can, let's see here. There we go. And that spot right there that you see kind of sheared, It's on both sides. And those two little pieces right there are supposed to be on the sides of it. They sit in the cup right here and here. So we're gonna run to the local hobby shop, pick one up, and we'll be right back. Drove down, we went ahead and got the heavy duty locker kit, the AX30500, which is the one that we busted or was previously broken from. All we can think is either previous owner or whatever, because it was a used vehicle. On that, we got the right pieces. We'll go ahead and let's go ahead and throw it back together. Pick up right where we left off. With these, you don't have to worry about, since you have any gears, about putting diff fluid or diff oil in the actual diff housing itself. I really truthfully don't see any other purpose to doing that. And from everything I can see right now, these go a certain direction. There we go. Okay, so they will slide in. They only go in one way, which is a good thing to note. So. Alright, like I said, at the end of the video I'm going to go over the gears, and I'll show you the old gears along with the new, well, show you the old gears and what went wrong with them. So pull those out, take the new ring gear. We're going with the 3813 setup. Let's see if we can get that number in that frame. There we go. Okay, there we go. And the numbers are specific to the teeth themselves. We got 38 on the ring and 13 on the pinion. That'll just allows us to be able to know that we're in the stock gearing and not overdrived or underdrived. Okay, so there we go. Got the differential together. Go ahead and put our bearings back on. Now here comes where we're gonna actually put some marine grease in here right now. Well, notice that this guy's got a little bit of some rustiness on him. Let's kind of clean him off a little bit. Yeah, he'd be okay. All right, so there's that. Now, what you want to try and remember is, if you can't, where your differential was actually sitting. The ring gear itself, because these housings are designed to go either direction. The good thing with ours is that we can see marks in there. We can actually see that there's a clean spot way in the back here. Let me see if I can pull the light over here, see if that helps show you guys a little bit better. Oh, before we have a lamp that falls over. Okay, that's a little better, I hope. Oh, I got a bug on me. So hopefully you guys can see that the internal is cleaner in here. So that's where our ring gear goes. Now, putting our grease in here, any special way? Not really. Take a good glob on your finger, a very healthy amount, and just put it into the gear. And you'll let the gear actually move itself around, move the grease around. So, go ahead and set this down real quick. Go ahead and clean up my fingers. Alright, so let's go ahead and throw this back in. You might have to rotate it a little bit just to get it to slide back in. There we go, nice and smooth. Very easy, and then we can push the axles in there just nice and tight. And double check on this side too. Yep, there we go. Alright, let's put the end caps back on, seal her up, and then we'll be done with this side. Alright, as I was saying, we're gonna about the grease and the ends of them. We're gonna go ahead and do this a little differently, since these are just the pack ends right here. I'm gonna go ahead and pack this end in behind the bearing, and then I'm going to go ahead and put the ends back on both of the housing sides. That way they'll actually fit in there a little bit better, and there's less mess and less waste. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put the ends on here, and as you can see, I've already started to grease up the shaft a little bit. I did notice, however, that the ends are a certain side. It looks like the short end is over here onto the long-sided shaft, and then the longer stub end is on the other side, on the short side of the shaft. So let's go ahead and grease up a little bit inside, and we can go ahead and throw these on. I'm trying to put the grease in here so that we can keep the bearings from failing, and that way everything just stays nice and running smooth and water resistant at least. So I do know that there is no up or down to the housings as far as I can tell. Oh, my axle just kind of came out. There we go, nicely on. Let's go ahead and throw the other side in. Okay. This is a very yucky job. Just remember to keep a lot of paper towels around you. Other than that, put it everywhere. A little bit of extra grease in most places is not a bad thing. It just keeps everything working smoothly. So, and we're going to go ahead and we'll clean this up after we get done with it. I got some rubbing alcohol that'll make very quick work of cleaning up the axle itself. You definitely don't want to over tighten these screws. Doing so will cause problems because you'll actually have wheels falling off. Now you want to look at this and make sure that you're going in the right direction also. The axial symbol and everything looks like it's got a very specific way to go. Let's see here. Alright, so the way they do it is that the ring actually goes in these two slot sides right there. And that way, if you look at the case itself, I don't know how well you can see that, it's actually set off a little bit. Alright, we'll go ahead and slap that on. Put our screws in. Ow! Alright, there we go, guys. Okay. Alright, there we go. New differential is our new ring and pin gears are in the Wraith itself. And there we go. All you do now is just reinstall it back into the chassis. Same way you took it out. Alright folks, there we go. Got the rear all done, everything's moving right. So if we're done under the inspection of this axle, I can pull off the front diff housing right here. With the 4 screws like on before, I'm going to have to remove the steering link here and probably the outdrive shafts on either side. Now the reason I'm holding it up here and showing it to you guys right now is because while I'm down here working on it, it's going to be a little bit harder to see. So I'm going to give you an idea of what I'm going to be doing first, and then we'll cut in a couple times to show you where I'm at. So the first thing I'll do is I'll remove the steering link here, and then I'll move that off to the side. I'll take the 4 screws out. I'll take this link end off on these 2 screws, take those two out, pull the axles out, pull the differential out. I'll take off the rear or the drive shaft right here and just slide it back and pull the pinion out and be able to re-grease everything from in there. If you take your steering arm off, you want to remember to try and take it off from the hub itself, not here. That way you don't have to readjust it and recenter it if you get it off. Alright folks, welcome back. I want to show you that I got the diff cover off, nice and easy. That was rather simple-ish. We're going to go ahead, just like the other one, we're going to take off all those 4 screws, pull it apart. Yeah, this one looks like it's only been in there from the factory, and the factory does not put a lot of grease in there. They put an adequate amount, but not enough to really keep things going. So, push the Wraith off to the side here. And we're going to pull our bearings off of this also. And this is just going to be a repeat of before. Take the 4 screws out, inspect your locker, and reinstall. Go ahead and put the new one in this side also. Like I showed you before, apparently there is a single direction these go. There we go. What I'm looking for here, if you can see it, I'm trying to make sure these screws don't completely line up dead perfect. They're designed to go in only one direction or one side, so I'm looking for all 4 holes to line up. Alright, same as before, we're going to go ahead and stick our pinion gear in our housing. We're inspecting it. It feels for some weird reason like we're missing a complete bearing in there. Alright, so something I found out, folks, is that we were missing a bearing inside. Apparently, guess the previous owner forgot to put one in or whatnot, but we're going to be using one of the Traxxas bearings here. It's actually, I don't have a sticker with me, it's part number 5116. I can't remember the bearing size off the top of my head. It's a very common bearing that Traxxas uses. You can easily find it in your manual, but we're going to go ahead, whoops, come back here, and slide it. I've done swap the bearings from the outside one to the inside, just to put the new one on there, and there we go. That's a lot better off. Alright, no more slop in there. Awesome. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and pack the diff itself, put its bearings back on. If you choose to, this would be a great time to actually replace your bearings if you feel like it needs to be done. So we're going to go ahead and just get a healthy serving of grease and lather this up, stick it back in, and reassemble. And we're looking on this one, the groove side is on your driver's side. We're gonna go ahead and put our caps back on. Make sure you check. I just noticed something kind of cool. The screw holes where the diff cover actually goes on. Actually, there's an indentation on the caps themselves, on the bearing caps. And definitely want to make sure you get those in the right spot, or else they won't fit right. Alright everybody, so I've gotten the plate on the front finally. We're going to go ahead and just do a quick reassembly on it. We're going to shove some grease into the ends here so we can keep the bearings lubricated very well, and seal it up, and we'll be done soon. Only thing to remember here, guys, is just make sure your axle gets stuck in there correctly. These are kind of keyed a certain way. So like I said before, this is my first time doing a Wraith, so I'm going to see if we can get it in just right. And there we go. We're in the center slot right there, and we'll do the same thing to the other side. Right, now we're going to go ahead and lock down our servo. And install the arm again. There we go, folks. There's that. Oh. Drive shaft. Alright folks, there we go. We got all our pieces on, got our diffs in, everything's running nice and smooth. Alright folks, so that ends the tutorial video on putting the diff gears in the Wraith. Thank you for watching BBC Outdoors. This is Trailside Stu. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you out there. Have a good night.